Hi everybody, this is Steve Ludwig, host of Steve Ludwig's Classic Pop Culture and the Beatles Hour with Steve Ludwig at PlanetLudwig.com. Here's an interview we did with disco diva Carol Williams on October 23rd, 2013, show number 12. To hear the entire show and all the music, check out the menu at PlanetLudwig.com. And now, please enjoy the interview.
And you just listened to a medley of some of the best love songs in the disco era, of all time, of any era. And they were sung by, of course, our guest, the legendary Carol Williams. Miss Williams, thank you so much for being on Classic Pop Culture.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's our pleasure. And, you know, already I know we're going to be good friends because you are a native of Montclair, New Jersey, and I went to Montclair State College.
Oh, that's wonderful because my brother went there, and he also was in the class that Melba Moore was in.
Wow.
So he went to Montclair State, and so did my brother.
Well, how about I was in great company.
Yes, well, they were in great company with you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. That's kind. Carol, you had the very great distinction of being the first female artist signed to Sal Soul Records.
Yes.
Did you find, were female singers treated differently than male singers at that time, did you find, or was it pretty much even or fair?
I think at that time for the disco era, it was just about even. And I can honestly say that I think there were more ladies involved singing a lot of the disco songs, more so than the men. Not that they didn't, but I think there was so many women that did a lot of the energy songs.
Mm. You know, I had my guest last week was James Arena, the author of the wonderful book of which you're one of the subjects, The First Ladies of Disco. It's available at Amazon.com. And Carol, I asked him a question. I'd love to ask you the same question. Is there much of a distinction, do you feel, between R&B and disco? I don't see much personally, but do you see a real distinction?
The only distinction that I see is that the disco just has more of a upbeat, shuffle type beat to it, whereas the R&B had slow songs, they had faster songs, but they didn't have that disco beat to it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only difference that I can see as far as distinction in sound.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Even with kind of the slower disco songs, there was that kind of a dance beat that was evident, huh? Right,
and that people could hustle to and, you know, do their steps and everything, too. Mm-hmm. So it's a little distinction between the two, I think, yes.
And, you know, Carol, you have many great distinctions. You were probably... you were certainly one of the very first disco stars when disco was just breaking into the mainstream. You really set the tone for what followed. How do you feel about that, being a pioneer?
Oh, I think it's great. You know, I believe that, you know, myself and a lot of the other the girls that are, especially the ones that are in the book that, you know, talk about the era, I think it was a wonderful time to be in the music business. And it was just great music. It was just wonderful music. So many different singers, but different styles, but yet and still the beat was just still there. That disco beat was just there with all of our songs.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask an ignorant question, and forgive me, but the name of the record, Sal Soul, what is Sal Soul? Is that a specific type of music, or is it a combination of names? Do you even know? Maybe I'm putting you on the spot. I'm sorry.
No, well, the word Sal Soul was the label, Sal Soul Records.
Right. Yeah,
but
where
that came from was it actually was the owners that owned Sal Soul Records. They owned salsa. They had a lot of the salsa records out way before they signed the people that they did for Sal Soul. And so when they became into the disco era and they signed people up like Lolita Holloway and Double Exposure, myself, Joe Bataan, Charo, they named the label Sal Soul, meaning that there were a lot of soul artists, and it wasn't just salsa records. It was a disco of Sal Soul.
Gotcha, kind of a combo. Salsa and soul. That's okay. You know, in James Arena's book, The First Ladies of Disco, you told a cute story. I thought it was a cute story of you wishing you could have met Andrea True because of her song More, More, More. Do you remember what story I'm talking about that you had mentioned?
Yes.
Maybe you can share that with us.
Oh, that was, it is amazing because, we all of the girls that had records out at that time, there were certain clubs that we were doing. We would follow each other in different clubs, or we'd be in the same club and be appearing together. But I had the misfortune of never being able to appear on the same stage or club with Andrea True, and the same with her. So we never met each other, but a lot of people would ask me, because my song was More, they would think I did More, 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 and I'm sure people were asking her, did she do more? So it was because it was the difference of the name More, 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 which was her song, and then my song was More. So a lot of people would say, oh, you the one that does More, More, More? So I say, no, I don't do that song. I do the one More. So that's the little story I share in the book.
Yeah, speaking of your song More, again, more pioneering by you, Miss Carol Williams. It was really the first 12-inch commercial single that people could buy all over the world. I mean, now the quote-unquote 12-inch singles were all over after yours, but your song More was the first.
It was the first one. South Soul, the label, came up with the idea of making a 12-inch so that the DJs that were playing the records, which were like 45 records because there wasn't any CDs then. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the DJs in the record pools, they were, they had 45 records out. So a lot of the times the needle wasn't really in the groove because the song would be maybe 6 minutes, 5 minutes, 4, 5, 6 minutes long. So therefore, a small little 45 wouldn't be able to carry the needle in the groove sometime. So then also came up with the idea of making a 12-inch so that the song would be 4, 5, 6 minutes long, but the grooves would be spread out more. Mm-hmm. So that's how it came about. And then what happened was everybody would hear this in the in the club, and they'd hear like 6 or 7 minutes of a song, and they couldn't buy it in the record stores. They could only get like the little 45 or something. So then that's when Salso came up with the idea of making it commercial, where people could actually go into the stores and buy a 12-inch record.
Yeah, and DJs typically always had a Carol Williams record handy because your songs were probably the most requested in the discos. And that's also got to feel pretty good to you.
Honestly, it really... I remember going out to Fire Island and doing a show out in Fire Island, and the DJ was playing, I think it was More, and he came over to me and he asked me would I sign his the record, the 12-inch, but the 12-inch was pink, and I never had seen it. I had no idea that they had circulating pink 12-inch song, the Song of More. I had no idea, so he actually gave me that because I had no idea that they had a pink record out. I mean, it was a hot pink color. That's the exact color that it was.
Well, your music was hot. It's hot music, so why shouldn't it be hot pink? And, Carol, right?
Yes, that's good.
The great news is for all of us, you're still very actively performing.
Yes. A lot of the girls are, Linda, they just did a show not too long ago, and Linda was on it, Martha Warsh, Pamela Stanley, and who else was it? Claudia Barry. And I mean, these girls, I came out to see them because I hadn't seen them in a while. And they still look good, and they still sound, and they're doing their material that they did 20 years ago. And it's just great to see them still out here performing, which, you know, all of us are doing that.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of seeing you perform live, this coming Saturday, Carol, you're going to be one of the guests on Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV, and I am so lucky to be co-host of that show. We're going to see you on TV at legendstv.net this Saturday on Legends TV. Isn't that correct?
Oh, yes, it is, and we're looking forward to it. It's also Carol Douglas and myself, right. And I think James is coming with us.
James,
and we're going to just have a great time. You know, we're going to talk about the book, and then we're going to do our little songs there, so... It's going to be a great experience for us.
Another guest on that show is rapper Ta from the Bush, and I know I've listened to his music, and he's a big fan of disco. You can hear it in his music, and I know he's looking forward to meeting you and Miss Douglas next week. So it's going to be a wonderful show. It really is. It's on legendstv.net.
Saturday.
All the clubs you played. Well, first of all. Can you tell us a little something about Studio 54? We've heard so many stories. What was it like for you to perform in Studio 54?
Great. I mean, one thing about Studio 54, the people were so responsive. You could be there all night, and people were constantly dancing on the dance floor. I mean, it never looked like the dance floor, you know, got empty or anything. It was just the same people, or either more people were coming in. But it was a great place to be, a great place to perform in, and the sound, they had a great sound. They had the great like their backgrounds and things that would be coming down from the ceilings and everything. It was really... You know, when you're actually doing it, you don't realize that. When you look back as you get older, and you look back and you realize that, you know, this was really something really, really, really great.
Yeah. Do you almost look back at things and look at yourself as some other person, like, that was me? Like, do you know what I mean? Can you remove yourself from it and say, wow, I was... pretty some heck of a performer. You still are, but you meant so much to the early disco scene especially. Can you appreciate what you've meant to so many people?
Yeah, I think as you get older and you look back and you realize that, boy, you know, I did make a difference somewhere, you know, within the music business. And it's a great feeling to feel like that. I'm sure a lot of the girls feel that way, too. And, I mean, New York was just the greatest place to be. Studio 54, Paradise Garage, Broadway International, New York. There was just so many clubs that you could just be in forever and never, ever leave New York, Manhattan.
Is it possible to choose a favorite club from all over the world? I mean, I know you're world-renowned. Mm-hmm. Is it even possible to pick a favorite? Or one of the favorites, maybe?
Yes, I can say one of the favorites. I have to say that crowd-wise, one of my favorite places, and I was only there once, I think, was New York. And that's because I opened up for Gwen McCrae and Luther Vandross.
Wow.
And at that time, Luther... his song was just hitting, never too much. It was just hitting, and you could see it was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger all over the world. But I'd have to say that experience, that night being at the club, because it was so many people, and our dressing rooms were upstairs, and you had to take an elevator to come down to get on the stage. I'm telling you, it seemed like it took me 30 minutes to get down that elevator and through the crowd to get to the stage to perform. It was unbelievable. I've never seen a club. I mean, it was packed where you couldn't hardly, you couldn't move. Everybody was just pushed up together.
I can only imagine what it must feel like to look out on a stage at so many people, so many adoring fans. It's got to be some great rush.
It is, and what is so wonderful about it is to see people singing the song along with you.
Yes.
And singing with you, you know, and it really makes you feel good that, you know, they do know what the song is, they know what it's about, and they know who I am. So that's a wonderful feeling. Yes, it is.
You know, what in your opinion, this has always kind of not baffled me, but amazed me, why some songs are bigger in some countries, you know, in Europe or whatever, and not so much in the U.S. and vice versa. Do you have any kind of idea why that is? You know what I mean? Sometimes, like for instance, in Japan, a song that might not be as popular in the U.S. is a huge success in overseas. Do you have any kind of
right?
Yeah? Why is that? Do you think? You know, I have no clue.
You know what? It's a question that is so hard to answer because I know I just recently went to Paris in 2012 for my first time. I've never been there. And I had done other songs other than disco. I did more R&B songs with another producer after I had left Salso. And I could not believe that I was asked to do those songs that I don't do here. I don't do any of those R&B songs here. But they knew every one of the songs that I had out there.
What would be one of those
over there?
Oh, I'm sorry. What would be one of those R&B songs that maybe people in the U.S., we all know and love your hits? What's the song, a favorite of yours that maybe a lot of people, it's an album cut, but people might not be aware of?
The deal that went to number 5 on the UK charts.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's called What's the Deal? I did it, my producer was in at the time. And, the record was on, I think it was New Image Records. But I could not believe a number of those songs went very well over there, and I've never performed them here. Never performed, except Can't Get Away, which is an R&B song that I had out, and that did play here. Mm-hmm. But all the other ones, I don't perform them. And to this day, I still don't, other than if I go to Europe or if I go to the UK or Paris, I do those songs. And I do, of course, more and the things that I did with Salso. But basically, they are asking to hear the songs that I did that was more R&B. And well, I don't know if it's just an appreciation that they have of all types of music there, or I don't know. I can't put my finger.
I don't. Right? I think that's going to be one of the unanswered questions in the history of music, isn't it? Isn't it funny,
I think
though?
Most artists won't be able to answer too much about it either, right. I don't think.
Well, Miss Williams, I'm looking so forward to seeing you on Saturday on legendstv.net. Is there, I know that people can be in touch with you on James Arena's Facebook page. Facebook.com/First Ladies of Disco Book. Do you have any social media yourself, or can people pretty much get in touch with you through James?
They can get in touch with me through James, but I do have a Facebook, Carol Williams Facebook, and most people can, if they want to see, what I'm doing and some of the things that, I'm up to doing, they could go on my Facebook and see it.
All right, so it's Facebook.com/Carol Williams. Everyone, you must visit Carol's Facebook page because she's a real musical treasure that, and I am so glad as a music fan that you're still performing, and I cannot wait a few days from now to meet you on Evan Ginsberg's Legends TV. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And I saved a couple of questions to ask you on the TV show, by the way, Carol.
Well, thank you so much. And I have to say that the questions that you asked me were very, very great and innovative. And I'm looking forward to answering some more when I see you Saturday.
And I thank you for answering them so well, too. It's been a pleasure, Miss Williams, and we'll see you in a few days on TV.
All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye now.